Hi, what's up, y'all? It's D about to react to this vid. It's titled Demi Lovato and Keke Palmer expose the industry. Age gaps, toxic sets, and more. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see what's going on. Let's watch.
You guys, we have got to talk about Demi Lovato sitting down with Keke Palmer and talking about the entertainment industry. They are talking about so many things, from their nasty older exes to how they felt being child stars, and they're calling out the state of the music industry right now. We are going to get into everything that was said.
This just in.
This week, Demi Lovato sat down with Keke Palmer, and the two of them had a lot in common. So much was spilled between them, and honestly, I'm constantly reminded of how Keke Palmer deserves a network show. Like, truly, she's freaking hilarious in interviews. Get her podcast on freaking Netflix, or give her a daytime talk show spot. Like, she would eat it up. But anyway, back in 2024, I talked about how Demi had already opened up about the industry in a way. She was exposing the darker side of growing up in the entertainment industry in her child star documentary, where she sat down with other former child stars to talk about what it was really like working in the industry at such a young age. They discussed things like being pushed to keep working even when you were burnt out, the pressure of always being easy to work with, and how many of them barely remember parts of their careers because they were just so overwhelmed. And when she sat down with Keke, the two of them had a very similar experience with being the breadwinner of their family and having this level of pressure and stress on them. And Demi said that this adult-like income led her to party.
In my own show, I became the breadwinner of my family just by proxy. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just what happened. They had to help with my career, and it was we're seeing money that we never had seen.
Oh, absolutely.
And that stress for me, especially not being able to process it, that was like a big triggering point. And then never wanting to like be sad or make anybody feel like bad about it because I don't want them to be stressed. Like, you know, and then not having a lot of time to like have fun and be a kid.
Yeah, you know, for me, I actually was like, I had this like mantra that was like, if you're gonna work me like an adult, I'm gonna party like an adult.
Oh.
And I got into some bad stuff at a young age, and that's when I started like self-medicating. And I wish that, you know, I had stayed more focused. Obviously, I think the course of my life would have gone in a different direction, meaning like I wouldn't have maybe struggled as much with substances later down the road.
Demi did say that she was grateful for where she was today, but that she did have her struggles, and admitted that back then being just a kid wasn't really a thing, and it was all about work. And so when she did have time to do her thing and party, she partied hard. And the way Keke reacted was sending her, and it honestly sent me, like, I was just dead at how off guard Demi was with Keke's response to her.
And I'm sitting here in this state of mind today, like grateful and for everything that I've been through. But yeah, it was really challenging. There wasn't a lot of time for play, but when I did, I played pretty hard.
I mean, that's very. I know we didn't want any drama. I know we didn't want any drama.
They also talked about the fact that because they were so young with these adult jobs in these adult spaces, that they felt mature for their age, and they were told that they were mature for their age, and it led them to dating older guys. But they look back and do not understand how this was seen as like normal back then, when it's not. And looking back at the ages that they are now, they're able to see, like, how was I dating that person at that age? Like, what is wrong with them?
And like that's what we was dealing with. Yeah, I found myself dating. I'm 15. Why is my boyfriend 20?
Why was my boyfriend 30?
Girl,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm not smiling at that, but that is real.
I had a boyfriend. I'm putting it in quotes because you shouldn't even be my boyfriend, but we were in a relationship. But I was 16 and he was 20. Well, he was 19 when we met, but he later turned 20, but I was still 16. And I thought that was okay. Nasty ass 20-year-old. He was out of high school, long gone, and I was still in high school.
Find outlets, though. I don't think, you know, and also just a way to process this, and nobody our age, I mean,
could understand. Nobody our age could understand. But then you look back in hindsight, when I turned 30, I was like, that's not okay.
Girl, the moment when you realize...
I mean, obviously, their situation is way, way worse. 15 with a fucking 30-year-old boyfriend, obviously, that's full-on PDF. But even 16 and 20, that's still disgusting, because when I was 20, I could not even imagine myself being with a fucking 16-year-old. You're in high school, ew. I'm in college. I'm not dealing with you little boy, you know? So the fact that that was very common for men who were 20, 21, dating women in dating girls in high school is just sick, but that was common.
And you get the age and a lot of people that were around you and doing stuff, it's almost a mental break that can happen because you realize, you were taking advantage of. I was being exploited. 15, I'm thinking like my boyfriend's older because I'm doing an older job and I'm doing a bunch of things and this is the way that it is, and it seemed normal in my mind. But then
especially if you're an older soul too. Especially if you're mature for your age.
They also talked about how this was so common and a lot of them were experiencing similar things. Even talking about how Hilary Duff has recently released a song called Mature where she is singing about a similar thing, that she was with this older guy and recognized this pattern where this one guy was always seemingly dating younger girls. As she sings in her song, she looks like all of your girls but blonder, a little like me, just younger, but she loves when she hears you say you're so mature for your age, babe. She looks like she could be your daughter, like me before I got smarter, when I was flattered to hear you say you're so mature for your age, babe. Like Keke and Demi, they were relating to this.
I love the Hilary Duff song.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, because it's like, y'all have the same damn life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where people kept telling us you're so mature for your age.
Demi had previously called out her ex, Wilmer Valderrama, when she released her song 29 a couple years ago, and in the song, she called out how she was with someone who was 29 years old when she was 17. And it's sad how so many young stars experienced what she had at the time, and I feel like luckily now people are calling it out more when there are these huge age gap relationships going on, especially if someone is trying to date somebody that isn't even 18 yet. Now, when talking about this though, Keke brought up how people would ask, why didn't you guys talk to each other about what you were going through and things like that to know how much you all were actually relating with one another? Why are these conversations happening now that you're realizing, we relate on this level? But she said that the industry kind of created this competition between everyone, especially Keke. She said that she felt on the outside and it kept her from finding those who she could relate with.
You might think, you're surrounded by other people. There's Miley Cyrus and there's Selena Gomez, but there's a lot of competition that the industry put in those times, especially when we were kids. I almost felt like a lot of times, me being black, I was kind of left out of the conversation. People weren't really involving me in it, which, it kind of was positive, I feel like, in a lot of ways, because I felt like I would be watching on the outside a lot of those different mechanisms happening, and then always hitting, who's the number one girl? That makes it hard to actually become friends with people that might relate to your experience.
Demi did talk about Selena Gomez, though, and how her and Selena went through the Disney days together, but that there were challenges with comparison.
Well, what was beautiful is Selena and I had a friendship prior to Disney Channel because we actually were on Barney together. And so I felt this safety when I came into the Disney Channel having a built-in friendship there already. And I'm so grateful for that. We'll always be grateful for the friendship that I have and continue to have with her. But it was challenging when people are comparing you to one another and you naturally have insecurities at a young age, so you start comparing yourself to other people.
She said that her mom did tell her that there was room for everyone, and she told herself that she had her own voice and own lane, and it got her through in those times. But she also later did talk about her struggles that she was going through when she was filming shows like Sunny with a Chance, and she said that when she finally started looking at things in a different light, kind of reflecting on her life and what it was like growing up in the industry, these realizations really kind of happen after she had this big breakdown after the Camp Rock 2 tour. That was when she was seeking help. She went to AA and she was able to really start making amends with people, and at the time, she admitted she had not been a nice person to work with during those days.
Going through that and dealing and going through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a step in there. The 9th step is to make amends. So I had to make amends to a lot of people saying, I'm sorry I was so challenging to work with at the time. I was so miserable in my own skin and dealing with what I was going through that I wasn't the nicest person to work with at the time. And I think that chapter of my life where I was being really reflective of everything and I wanted to right my wrongs. And so that was a few years after Disney Channel.
And she actually said that when she was working on her documentary Child Star, that is when she started to have compassion for herself in hearing these other experiences and understood kind of why she was acting the way that she was on set when she wasn't nice to people. It was because she was just trying to survive. She was just trying to get through the day, do her job, and it was she could finally see that the industry wasn't really helping her, but just like pushing her to her breaking point. They just wanted more work from her, you know? And she was just not trying to fault herself in that. And her and Keke were talking about how adults in the industry would pretend to care about them, but in reality, they just wanted them to get the job done, and they didn't really care about how they were actually doing.
It was is when people would come on set and they'd say, "Good morning, Demi, how are you?" In my head, I would literally think, you don't care about me. You're just,
right.
You don't really care how I'm doing.
But it was true though. You weren't wrong. You know, not to say that.
Right.
It's not to say that.
No, but
that
it's
was
true.
it, but it's, you were dealing with, that's actually valid.
And I just wanted so badly for someone to see that I was struggling. And when I ended up having my breakdown, like everyone did, and I was able to explain to people afterwards, like, it wasn't personal. Like when I showed up and was bratty on set, like that was not my intention. I was just doing like exactly what you said, doing what I had to do to survive.
And Keke had the same thing where she knew that people just wanted one thing all the time from her, and so she kind of became a character of herself to please them.
Because everybody wanted me to be great all the time, and I knew when they would ask that they really didn't think I was fine, I became like the satirical character that everybody knows me to be today, which is, yeah, like I would go overboard because I'd be so mad, like I would be inside actually kind of angry. And so instead, I would just be like, yes. It was my version of trying to like fight back against that same feeling that you're talking about, where you know that the adults around you just want you to do the job.
The two of them did dabble in talking about the music industry today, and I feel like it's pretty interesting how they talked about how nobody knows what will be a hit anymore. It's hard to get people to care about your songs that you're putting out, get radio play, and also songs just like don't stay hits for very long. And Keke seemed worried about those in the music industry right now, especially those that are younger, not to take it so personally.
We live in like such a different industry than we did 15 years ago, where you could test things at radio and see what was going to work. Nobody knows what works today, you know?
No, they don't. And what means a radio hit and all that kind of stuff is so technical, and it's so I feel like it's so
and you
involved.
also have to have people that are willing to put things at radio.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's so industry and institutions, you know, so it's kind of like it's very difficult with a lot of that. And I really hope that artists today understand that and don't take it to heart, you know what I'm saying?
So it really just feels like the film and TV world has kind of found its like footing to protect artists, but we're seeing the music industry messier than ever right now, and how landing success is harder than ever because it's super competitive and dicey. And if people like Demi have things to say about the music industry right now, like imagine being a new artist. Like that's the biggest warning sign of all. Definitely newer artists need to be protected, because I can't imagine like the mental health state of trying to take off right now or sustain a career in the music industry if those that have had past success are even saying that things are effed up right now. But that is what Keke and Demi had to say.
That's what a lot of people are saying in the industry. Wow, it seems like they had a really authentic conversation, though. I might check this out because it seems like they were really getting into it, you know, and they were being open and honest. I would love to see Keke sit with other child stars, Selena especially. I don't know why I feel like she got a lot of tea to spill. Ariana, I would love to see Ariana be real. No shade, but you know, without all of the extra shit and the fake PR image, I just want her to be open and honest and talk about some shit, because I know she got some tea. You know, I got a lot of these like child stars, they went through a lot, so it will be interesting just hearing them, you know, really get into it and talk about it. But yeah, interesting vid. Y'all let me know what y'all think, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.